Hi everyone, my name is Brittany. I am starting the Disney College program in about a week now, but I wanted to make this video to kind of go over all the pre-arrival process because I've always seen videos like benchmarked, but I kind of wanted to wait till everything was finished for me and then film it. So I just want to introduce myself first. My name is Brittany, like I said earlier, and then I'm 22 years old and I'm from Virginia, and I actually just recently graduated school, and so I graduated with a hospitality management degree and a minor in business. So I kind of figured it was either now or never to kind of jump into the Disney College program because you only have so much time to get into it, and they did extend the deadline I think to 2 years after you graduate, but I was afraid if I jumped into a role and at like a big company that it was kind of gonna be too late for me to jump back into it, and I've always wanted to do this. And I actually switched my major to hospitality after my first year of school, so I was exactly on track to graduate, so I unfortunately couldn't take a gap semester to go to Disney, and so I decided to do it after I graduated, which I think is a pretty good transition considering I'm coming out of living in like dorm life and everything, so I already know what it's gonna be like. So I'm just gonna go over the pre-arrival process and give you like timelines and like small details. I won't go into too depth, but if anyone has questions, you can put it down below and I'll try my best to answer them. But I am in the midst of packing because I had to move all my stuff from my apartment at school home, and now I have to get ready to leave to go to Disney in about a week, so I will try my best. So let's start back to when I applied. So I applied back on February 8th of 2022, and that same day I submitted my application. I actually got my web-based interview, and I think I completed it that day as well. And so basically with the web-based interview, typically in the past you've done that and then you get a little like happy face or sorry, we're looking at other candidates. And so luckily I passed and it said you'd be in great consideration for the company. Typically you do go into a phone interview after that, but I think they got rid of that, and after COVID happened and they restarted the program, I think they just took that away, so that's no longer a thing that you have to stress about. Because I know I actually originally worked for the company back in 2019 and the summer of 2019 between my junior and senior year, that I had to do a phone interview while I was at school because they asked if I wanted to come in person, and I'm in Virginia and I can't exactly do that. So I actually had to do a phone interview, so I was panicking, looking at all the videos, and all the videos I saw were of Disney College program students doing the interview, but that's not the case anymore, so you don't have to stress about that anymore. So after the web-based interview, you kind of just have to wait for the acceptance, or I don't think I've heard of anyone getting denied, but I could be wrong with that. So after February 8th, when I did both of the submission and the web-based interview, on February 14th is when I got my acceptance email. So I got that wave of, I think that's Valentine's Day, of acceptance letters, which was awesome because I didn't have to wait too long, because I've seen, after I applied, I like looked at all the Facebook groups and it seemed like some people were still waiting, so I was kind of surprised that I got mine that soon. So then after your acceptance, you have 1 week to accept your role into the program, and with that acceptance you have to pay the $425 program fee, which does change depending on, like, I guess the year or whatever. When you apply, you can go to the program's website and it can give you a range, but that was what my fee was. And then when you do that, you choose the dates of your program, and then also you have to fill out the series of forms that the company will send you within the week, or else your position will be given to the next person. I'm gonna probably specify the money a little bit too, because as a college grad, I have student loans that I have to pay, and like I know money is not easy. It's not easy to cough up just $425 out of your pocket. So I will probably go into some details of that, but not too much. But I just knew that was a big stressor for me, because I don't have a lot of money right now. So after that week of doing all and filling all that stuff out, it was kind of a stressor, not gonna lie, because for me as a graduate, I either have to accept this role and at a lower paying rate for me. So it was kind of a big decision to make on what I was going to do post-grad right out of school within a week, if I wanted to wait for other job opportunities or not, but I kind of didn't have that time on my side anymore. So that was kind of a big stressor for me as a college graduate. But about 2 months out, so I chose my arrival date as July 11th, 2022. So that was when you pick your dates, that sets your timeline and when everything is going to come out. No matter what dates you choose, there's like certain benchmarks that everything will hit as you get closer to your program dates, unless you change them, of course, and then your things might get switched around. And so for me, I chose July 11th. So then my next email to come in was May 16th, which was my dorms registration. And that was about 2 months out from the program start date for me. And just a preface, I didn't change my dates at all. I didn't need to change my dates. Luckily, my roommates and everything fell pretty nicely, and they switched their dates to what mine were, even though I was willing to change. But so the dorms registration, you input all your information. I believe some of it is already pre-saved from your application, but then you input like billing and everything. But the most important thing I took away is that you make sure to know your ID number so you can connect with your roommate. Probably get that prior to your dorms registration, just in case you want to hop on it. I hopped on the registration pretty like as soon as I saw it, because I was afraid that was when the parking decals were going to come out, because I try to find information, but because of how the programs run, not all the information is given to you in a timely manner. Like, I'm a pretty like advanced planner, so I'd like to know stuff in advance, but unfortunately that's not the case because of how fast their turnover is with the program. So they can only give you information as soon as they can, when they can, which I understand, but it's just a little frustrating for people who are like out of state and trying to figure out when things are gonna fall and things like that. So for the dorms registration, you have to input, that's where you're gonna put in all your car information, and you have to put your car information there in order to get an invite later on to get your parking decal. That's not when you buy your parking decal, but your information has to be in there in order to get the decal later on. So that was 2 months out, and then my next set of emails was June 1st, and that was when they sent out the I-9 and onboarding information, which has your temporary role. And I say temporary because they say after attending the welcome session, which I'll get to in a few minutes, after attending the welcome session, the recruiter said that that's only a role assigned to you just for paperwork purposes. But from what I've seen and heard and what I've experienced now through the whole process is that usually I say like 8 out of 10 times that is your role. I don't think I've heard of anyone's role getting switched so far, but I have also been struggling talking to people because I was so focused on school. So I got resort concierge as my temporary role for onboarding, and that was about 5 weeks out for me, which is usually that's an unusual time. Usually it's 4 weeks out, and it comes out with when you're gonna get your parking pass. But that was a little different for me because the recruiters at the welcome session, which I signed up for around that same time, and I went to 7 days later on June 8th was a welcome session, which they just sent out an email and had you sign up for a time and a date that works best for you on a Zoom call. And so they talked about it there, that it was unusual that we got our roles a little early because they were switching over their HR system. So my arrival group, I think, was the cutoff for getting our roles. I think some groups are actually still waiting on their roles now. I haven't really been paying attention to the other timeline because I was so focused on all my stuff. But so that Zoom session, they told us that that role is only temporary and it could be changed, but luckily for most, I don't think it does. Usually that I-9 and onboarding stuff comes out 4 weeks in advance of your start date for your program specifically. So that was kind of nice that I got to know a little bit earlier, but I know that's not the case for other people, and I think it's been inside that 4-week mark now for other people, which is kind of scary, but it's kind of what you sign up for with the program. You don't get to pref, at least for me, I didn't get to pref what role I wanted. The only thing you could say yes to no on was during your application, you got to say yes or no to being a lifeguard, because basically if you say yes to being a lifeguard, you're going to be a lifeguard, because they're in that demand at the company right now. So after that Zoom session, they basically just gave you a rundown of the program general stuff again, and the basic timeline, which for us was a little wonky already. So I did that, and they just went over basic stuff like bring your documents, all that kind of stuff. And like what arrival day is gonna look like, but they couldn't give any details because that comes out in your itinerary. So after that, the most important question people were afraid of was the parking passes, because we hadn't heard anything. And I think it kind of freaked us out at the welcome session because the parking decal was listed as before your role announcement on the timeline they gave us. And so people started to panic a little bit, but they quickly were like, hey, we know that you got your roles early. Your parking email should be coming out soon. But that's all the details they could give us. They literally said soon, and literally that afternoon we got the email from when the parking passes were going to go on sale, which I thought was pretty funny. So they sent out that email on June 8th, sorry, that the registration for parking decals was going to open on June 13th at 9 o'clock in the morning. And so I'd heard mixed things on how hard it was to get a parking pass. For me personally, I really needed one because I'm going to be driving from Virginia, and I wanted my car down there. Because if not, I was going to have nowhere to put my car, because that was my only way to get down there. So that was a big stressor for me. That was the last big thing that I needed to get done and desperately needed in order to go down there. I had heard that it was easy. I've heard it was hard to get your parking pass, but it just depends on the wave of people coming in. On July 11th, that wave was a little bit smaller than others that I've seen, because it is kind of an awkward place to go in. Time frame to go in, but the parking pass went on sale June 13th at 9 o'clock in the morning. And so I was on there. I had already pre-saved my card info into my Google Chrome browser, but when as soon as it rolled over, I watched the time clock on my phone, so I saw the little hand hit 9, and I immediately refreshed my page and started putting in all my info. For me, I panicked a little bit because I had pre-saved all that card info, and when I went to input it and I was going through everything, the system wouldn't actually let me confirm my payment with pre-save, so I had to go back and delete all of my card info and manually re-input it into the details. And so I thought that was going to make me lose my pass, and I don't know how. From what I've seen, I think everyone got their parking passes. I haven't heard otherwise, so I'm not exactly sure how quickly they sold out just yet. But so it was $85 for the parking pass, which hurts because we're already there paying a program fee, but I have to pay $300 for parking at my college I went to for a year, so I guess it makes sense. It doesn't hurt as much as school, but it still hurts that it's $85 just to have your car there. But I had to do it, so Yeah, so June 13th was actually that 4-week benchmark on when I arrived, for my arrival date. So I think that's usually when you get your role and everything, but that's just how it fell for me. And so the next email I had was June 27th, which was just recently, which is 2 weeks out from your program start date. And that is when your lease is sent to you, and you have to sign it within 72 hours of getting it. So your lease, I was kind of hoping, because like for me, since I was graduating and I wanted to save as much money as possible, I know it's not the most ideal and most people don't like it, but me and my roommate ranked the 2-bedroom, 2-bath as our highest option so we could save money and hopefully be in the same room. We knew there was some risk factor doing that, but we wanted to save as much money as possible. So with our leases coming out, we were hoping we were going to see we were at least in the same building or unit, and that wasn't the case. It's kind of like a general lease, and it gives you like the general like information on like what you can and can't do and all that stuff. I'm not going to go into that because it was like such a long process. Everyone started trying to figure out what their building was. And so what it was, I found out, is that you can use this app called Parcel Pending, and you can go into like the app itself and figure out, you hit like forget password and input your information. You input your email address that you use to sign up with the program, and you should be able to sign in and figure out what building and what unit number you are. From what I've seen, for me, it took an extra like 24 hours for Parcel Pending to start working because they were probably getting everyone into the system. So right now, that was 2 weeks out. And as of right now, I think me and my roommate are luckily in the same unit at least. So that's a good thing. But I want to make sure when I get there that's actually the case, because while it may say one thing, that doesn't always necessarily mean that's the exact thing that's going to happen, as we've seen with everything else with like the temporary cast member roles and everything. After that, just a few days later, on June 30th, actually yesterday for me, was when I got my itinerary, which usually is 7 to 10 days out from your arrival, but for me it was 12 days out, which was nice. So I got a little bit extra time, and that gives you your time that you can arrive on your arrival date, and then it gives you the rest of the appointments that you need to hit between then and traditions. And so people have more probably for like their tests for lifeguarding and stuff like that. But I only had like 3 or 4 appointments listed until my traditions, which was, since I got my itinerary early, I am able to plan a little bit better. My family already plans on going down there and staying for like the first week that I'm moving in, so that's nice. But I know that's not the case for everyone because people are like flying in and all that stuff. So a lot of that important information doesn't come out until like your lease and your itinerary come out. Like, I know that's hard. At least it was hard for me because my family and I like to plan in advance as far as we can, especially when you're going to Disney of all places. You kind of need to have your stuff done early to do what you want to do when you're down there. But that's just how the program rolls, unfortunately, because of how much turnover they have. So that is all the pre-arrival info that I believe is what we are given beforehand. Now I'm just like packing and everything, and I know it's a lot. I've seen don't overpack, try to underpack. So I'm going to try and hit that sweet spot, but I'm still working on everything, and I don't know exactly what I'm taking just yet because all my stuff is in a giant pile in the room next to mine. Which I think could be a problem because I'm probably about a week out from my program start date, but you know what? That's just how it is sometimes. So thank you guys for watching. I don't think I'll be vlogging per se during the program because I think that might be a little bit too much. I think I thankfully have that luxury of like I won't have like actual college classes during my program because I am a graduate. And so I think I'm going to throw myself into the program as much as I can and go to as many classes that the program offers. But right now I think it was probably the best because I don't have school on top of the program, so I can just fully throw myself into it and get as much as I can out of the program. So I don't think I will necessarily be vlogging because that's not really my thing. I'm just kind of uncomfortable still in front of the camera. This is my first video I've been making. But I might be making more updates in the future, just not daily vlogs like some people do during the program. So I just wanted to give a whole video on the pre-arrival process because I know it can be a big stressor for people not knowing what's going on in like the timeline. So the timeline I basically gave you is what it is for everybody based on your arrival date, with the like 2 months, 4 weeks out, like that kind of thing. My only difference between the normal timeline was I got my role early. Usually that's 4 weeks out, but I got it like 5 weeks out, which was a week earlier than usual. But like I said before, I can try and answer as many questions you have down below in the comments, but I am also packing this week, so I will try my best to get this out and answer questions while I'm trying to get my life together before I leave. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. Big wow from future me, cringy. But first video, that is expected. I just forgot that I actually had the diagrams of the application and pre-arrival process, which I will put in now. I figured you all might want to see these. They might be a little bit easier to get an overarching view of what the process is like. This is the normal typical process that I've seen, but like I said, I had that HR switchover thing, which was kind of strange. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video and got some overarching look on what the program process is like at the beginning, and I will see y'all later. Bye.